She was a literary pioneer who imagined futures we're only now catching up to. Octavia E. Butler was a science fiction author who broke barriers and also had a strong connection to Washington. Now this new biography out next month, Positive Obsession, is written by Susana M and gives us a deeper insight into what drove Butler's brilliant work. And Susana joins me now. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what drew you personally to Butler, and why did her story feel so urgent to tell right now?
Well, I first discovered Octavia Butler when I was in high school, just a couple of years after Parable of the Sower came out. And it really struck me to read a book about a young black woman as a young black woman. And she was sort of thinking about how to save the world, right? And growing up in the 90s where I did, it just really resonated with me. So from that moment on until becoming a professor, I always made sure I taught Butler's work and wrote about her. And then at the beginning of 2020, I thought it's time to write a biography.
Amazing. And tell us about her connection to Washington too, because I understand she thinks of Seattle as a dream city.
Yes, so Butler came to Seattle in the late 1970s for a pleasure trip, and she fell in love with the city, loved the mountains, loved the lakes, was outdoorsy, and so when she got the opportunity to leave her native Southern California, she thought, I have to move to Seattle, it's my dream city.
Gosh, and you call Butler's drive a positive obsession. So what did that look like in her life?
So Butler describes her drive to work as a positive obsession because researching, writing, thinking through ideas, getting her reading public to sort of go with her on these flights of fancy, on these journeys to unknown worlds or maybe deeper understanding of our own worlds as her life's mission. She worked every single day towards that life's mission, even when it was unpopular, even when she was not getting the financial response that she wanted to get. This was something that was an internal drive to be an intellectual, to share, to be a creative thinker. And so she said, you know, an obsession is something that you can't control. So even though it was positive, it was something that she just had to do. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to name this book Positive Obsession, because I'm really taking a close look at what drove her as a writer, as a thinker, as a person.
Gosh, and Butler was writing about some pretty heavy topics, you know, climate change and beyond. So how do you think she knew all this was coming?
So I know sometimes folks call Butler a prophet, and she was not a prophet in a traditional sense. She kind of would rebuff that. She was a student of history. She studied history, and I like to say that Butler got like 10 PhDs or something, the equivalent thereof, because she spent so much time in libraries, reading books, going on actual research trips to the Amazon and other places, right? Spending as much time as a historian or a sociologist or an anthropologist would on their own work as a novelist. And so she was able to see the patterns going back to before she was born. She was a boomer born in 1947, and imagining, okay, what would life in 2024 or 2025 look like? So she wasn't a prophet. She was just someone who read a lot and made those connections and invited us to do the same.
Gosh, and how do you think Butler's identity influenced how her legacy is remembered today?
Well, I mean, what's really exciting about right now, even irrespective of my book, is that Butler's been having a kind of renaissance. She was never forgotten when she passed away suddenly in 2006, but there's been even more sort of attention to her work, and rightfully so. Her work is beautiful, it's incisive, but I think that being sort of the first Black woman to primarily publish in science fiction, you know, gave her a sort of a particular kind of spotlight, right? At first, she was not necessarily popular in the way that she hoped her work would be, right? And over time, folks were able to get on board with what she was doing because she was really a visionary thinker. So I think in this moment, as we're thinking more expansively about what futures could look like, her status as a woman at the intersection of lots of different identities is really important. And fundamentally, the writing is amazing, and we need her voice right now.
Yeah, and we only have a little bit left, but your book is also KUOW's December pick for their book club. What would make this such a great book club read?
I think that, first of all, thank you. I'm so excited about that.
Congrats.
And I think it's a great book club read because Butler's work really makes you think deeply, right? And I hope my book will invite readers to go out to their libraries and to their local independent bookstores or online and buy Octavia's books, borrow her books, and talk about them with others. And so I think my book kind of gives folks a little push.
You are amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, Susana is holding an author event tonight, Wednesday, July 16th at Third Place Books in Lake Forest Park, so be sure to check that out.